obviously coaching in Alabama is a place that a lot of people work to get to for a long time. When you were weighing staying there versus coming here, what was that process like for you?
Obviously, when you're around good people, good situation, it's always tough to leave. But I think it's pretty easy when you look at Coach Zimmer's resume when it comes to not only defensive play but defensive backs. Definitely want to join somebody who had the same mindset as me, same philosophy, and work towards the same goal as I did. So it was pretty easy when it came down to that.
Bringing Xavier Woods in and reuniting with him, what did your previous relationship with him have to do with kind of knowing who you were getting?
Well, obviously, when you've coached a guy as a kid, he reminded me the other day that he's not 19 anymore. But the familiarity of having him and knowing what he brought at that time as a 19-year-old, picking up where he left off, man, pleasant surprise to the room. Definitely a guy who is mature beyond his age, man. He's a wise guy, understands the game, and for a guy who's been in the system, just a couple of months, he's out here communicating like, he's been here as long as Harry's been here. So definitely a guy that, we lean on to kind of voice, our messages as we want to get. We're coaches on the sideline, and he's playing on the field, and he's able to, voice our vision on the field while he's out there. So definitely glad to have him, and, he's a good one. He's a good one.
What did you learn in your time with Nick Saban?
Oh, man, do we have enough time? So much, man. Definitely as far as a coach, organizational skills, the way you go about your day-to-day process. It's just so much to name, and what people don't get to see is the person he is, Coach is not going to ask you to do nothing that he's not willing to do himself. I hope when I get his age that I'm still going as hard as he's going, because you admire his work ethic and how he approaches the game and how he approaches people. I just don't have enough time to express how much I've learned from him. So maybe one day we can get together and we can talk about that,
Has Patrick Peterson been almost like a second DB coach for you? And what are some of the things he's been teaching or telling some of the young cornerbacks?
Yeah, I think the best compliment you can give a DB or a corner is that, the way I would describe Patrick is he's a cornerback. He's so many times you hear these guys as lockdown corners or cover two corner or whatever it is, but Pat's a corner, meaning that he does everything in his game. As far as his preparation too, he does rub off on the young guys. Some of the guys who, when you want to have a model of who you want to be like and who you want to model your game like, you got somebody in the room. And the way he approaches it, from being the first person out here from walkthroughs, first person in meetings, the questions that he has, and not even, he's not big enough to still take coaching. He's eager for coaching. He wants his game to evolve. So, as far as having him, definitely, he makes me a better coach. But then again, too, he makes us a better room, too. So it's a challenge every day when you get in that room with him. You're not half-stepping, and you love that as a coach. So definitely happy to have him around here.
Any specific pointers that he's kind of given young cornerbacks that you can point to?
Yeah. I think just the way, it's different from being in the classroom and then being on the field, and a lot of times when you have that target on your back, everybody knows who Pat Peterson is, so it comes with the territory, and then, the position that you play, you've heard it before too, you got to have a short memory, you got to have a memory where your highs are not really lived as long as your lows. Everybody points out you can, lock a guy down for 9 reps, and then on 11th rep, 10th rep, he catches a ball, and everybody sees that on SportsCenter. And Pat, just his psychological disposition that he brings to the position, you love to see that, and you love for him to rub off on the other guys too, which he has.
You talked about coming here to prolong his career. You've played 10 years, and you kind of have to start over. Your career can go one of two ways. As a coach, what's, I guess, your job in helping him prolong his career at this stage whereas he's not so like some of the younger guys that you have in the room? Do you have to kind of do things, maybe tailor some things differently to Pat as the veteran that he is?
Well, I think that's the beauty of Pat. Pat has come in here, his resume, and he's coming here with a clean slate. He's ready and eager to learn. He's a guy who understands, you're always learning, you're always evolving, and my job is to continue to give those new things to him. and he's open to those things. You might look at him as a guy that you can't coach. He's good enough. He knows what to do. Just put him out there. But it's totally the opposite of that. Pat wants to know. He wants to be critiqued. He wants to know what he's doing wrong or what he can improve on. And not only that, though, when you give it to him, he's willing to apply it on the field. So I think just that example there, you got young guys in there, and if you're telling Pat P, corrections and critiquing his game, then I think you're, almost a fool as a young guy to kind of balk at anything else, And then also, too, having Coach Zimmer, some of the DBs later in their careers that Coach Zimmer has coached, he knows that, and Pat's, he's a grown man. He's a grown man, and he carries himself that way. He's a professional. He handles his business accordingly.
Karl, a lot of offensive innovations tend to come to the college level, so I'm sure you've seen many of those. How many sort of carry over, and how different are defenses here than they are in college?
To answer your last question, not too much. Obviously, what you guys might not know is we probably face more, crazy stuff from the offense in college with unbalanced formations and all that other good stuff. But at the end of the day, guys are playing, relatively the same coverages, different schemes. Obviously, guys are a little bit faster, a little bit older, but defense is defense. And then, coming from Coach Saban, we had an NFL defense at Alabama, so I was exposed to a lot of different, concepts and stuff like that we've carried over here that, Coach Zim already had, so was nothing groundbreaking or earth-shattering. It's more so about people and the development of players,
How do some of the pattern matching concepts that you run in Alabama, how would you describe the similarities between that and the ways that it's applied here?
I would say it's very similar. I think the funny part about, Coach Zimmer, everybody wants to compare with me when they ask me questions, Coach Zimmer to Coach Saban. They're both DB guys. They're both, gurus when it comes to that, position group. But at the end of the day, they both have the same philosophy as far as wanting to be tight to coverage, close windows, make it tough for offensive guys, compete for catches. And, as far as that goes, man, they're pretty similar, totally different in personalities. But, they've been successful in their own right. So been a pleasure to work with Coach Zim.
Zim's been known as a defensive backs guru his entire career. So what's that been like to kind of be coaching alongside him and kind of learning from him as well?
Oh, it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. Every day you walk into this office, man, you're looking to be eager to learn something new. I kind of mentioned it with Pat, being a guy that's always evolving, and I want to pride myself on being a guy that's always evolving. And I've had that opportunity to do that, as well as bring some things to the table, but at the end of the day, Coach Zimmer knows what it looks like, and, I trust his leadership, man, and it showed on the field, too, as well.
How much do you think his learning as a coach?
Oh, yeah, we go back and forth all the time. In that defensive staff room, it's, it's a little bit different than obviously being in college when you're worried about recruiting and all that stuff. So you kind of take out the recruiting and add more football, and I can't get enough of it. So it's been a pleasant surprise.